They came without warning. 23 worlds. 18 billion humans. Gone in a single day. Let's go. Humanity had finally achieved peace. After centuries of wars on Earth, after decades of conflict over resources and territory, humans had united. One planet. One government. One goal, to explore the stars peacefully. It took 200 years, but humanity built a small but thriving interstellar civilization. 23 colony worlds. Each one a home to billions. Each one a new beginning. New Terra was the largest colony. 5 billion people lived there. Farmers, scientists, teachers, families building lives far from Earth. Children who had never seen their ancestral home planet but dreamed of visiting one day. The colony was beautiful. Green fields, clean cities, rivers and forests carefully preserved. Humans had learned from their mistakes on Earth. This time they did it right. Captain Maria Santos walked through the streets of New Terra's capital city, smiling at the peaceful scene. Children playing in parks. Street vendors selling food. People laughing. Hard to believe we were at war with ourselves just 2 centuries ago, her friend James said, walking beside her. We grew up, Maria replied. We learned. We became better. Think we'll ever meet aliens? James asked. Maria shrugged. Maybe. If we do, hopefully they're peaceful like us. She had no idea how wrong that hope would be. The Krell Dominion had been watching humanity for 50 years. They were an old species. Ancient. They had existed for 10,000 years. They had conquered, enslaved, or destroyed hundreds of civilizations. They were also dying. Their home star was failing. Their population was declining. They needed new worlds, new resources, new slaves to do the work their own people no longer wanted to do. They found humanity's colonies and saw opportunity. These humans are weak, Supreme Commander Vector said, reviewing intelligence data. No significant military. Their ships are designed for exploration, not war. Their colonies are undefended. Should we offer them a choice? An advisor asked. Surrender or die? Vector shook his head. Why negotiate? They're primitives. We take what we want. All of their colonies? All of them. We need the planets. The humans are irrelevant. If they resist, kill them. If they don't resist, enslave them. Either way, we win. The Krell fleet of 3,000 warships began moving toward human space. Humanity had no idea they were coming. The attack came without warning. No message. No demand. No declaration of war. Just death. The Krell fleet arrived at New Terra on a Tuesday morning. Beautiful weather. Clear skies. Perfect day. Then the sky filled with alien ships. What is that? Someone on the street asked, pointing up. Are those ships? Another person said. Are we being visited? First contact. They were so naive. So hopeful. The Krell opened fire. Energy beams struck the city from orbit. Buildings exploded. Streets vaporized. Thousands died in seconds. We're under attack, someone screamed. Panic erupted. People ran. Tried to find shelter. Tried to protect their families. But there was nowhere to hide. The bombardment was systematic. Methodical. The Krell weren't trying to conquer the city. They were trying to destroy it. Captain Maria Santos was knocked off her feet by an explosion. She looked up and saw a massive warship hovering overhead. Alien. Hostile. Deadly. James, she shouted for her friend. She found him under rubble. Dead. Half his body was gone. Maria screamed. Not from fear. From rage. From grief. Around her, the city was burning. People were dying. Children were crying for parents who would never answer. Why? Maria whispered. Why are they doing this? She would learn the answer soon. But it wouldn't make anything better. The attack wasn't just on New Terra. The Krell fleet split up. Hit every human colony simultaneously. New Terra, 5 billion people. Under attack. Eden Prime, 3 billion people. Under attack. Nova Haven, 2 billion people. Under attack. Every colony. Every settlement. Every human world outside of Earth itself. All attacked at the same time. The colonists tried to fight back. They had security forces. Police. Even a few old military ships kept for emergencies. It was useless. Human weapons barely scratched Krell shields. Krell weapons obliterated human defenses in minutes. On Eden Prime, the governor sent a desperate message to Earth. We're under attack. Unknown alien force. They're killing everyone. Send help. Please. Send. The transmission cut off. Eden Prime's communication array was destroyed. Similar messages came from every colony. Desperate. Terrified. Brief. Then silence. On Earth, humanity watched in horror. Every news channel showed the same thing. Live feeds from the colonies. Cities burning. People dying. Alien ships destroying everything. This can't be real, someone whispered in a command center. It's real, a general replied, voice shaking. We're watching our people die. And there's nothing we can do. Our fastest ships would take weeks to reach the nearest colony. By then. He didn't finish. Everyone knew. By then it would be over. The president of Earth stood in the emergency council chamber, watching screens showing carnage across 23 worlds. How many? She asked quietly. How many what, Madam President? How many dead? A military advisor checked the data. His face was pale. Best estimates, 14 billion so far. And still rising. Silence fell in the chamber. 14 billion humans. Dead or dying. While Earth watched helplessly. Who are they? Someone asked. Why are they doing this? We don't know who they are, an intelligence officer replied. But why? The pattern suggests they want our colonies. Our planets. They're exterminating us like we're pests. The president closed her eyes. When she opened them again, something had changed. The diplomatic leader who had preached peace for 20 years was gone. In her place was something harder, colder, angrier. Get me military command, she said. All of them. Now. Madam President, what are you planning? Planning? She looked at the screen showing her people dying. I'm not planning anything. I'm giving an order. One word. One simple word that humanity hasn't spoken in 200 years. What word, Madam President? Her voice was ice. Pure, cold rage barely contained. War. The Krell Dominion thought they were attacking weak, defenseless colonists. They were right. The colonists were weak, defenseless, unprepared. But the colonists weren't all of humanity. Earth remained. 8 billion humans who had just watched 14 billion of their brothers and sisters die. Earth, where humanity kept something hidden. Something they thought they'd never need again. The weapons. The warships. The technology developed during humanity's violent past and locked away when peace arrived. For 200 years, humanity chose peace. Chose diplomacy. Chose to explore, not conquer. But the Krell had just reminded humanity of something important. Sometimes, peace is only possible when you're strong enough to defend it. The Krell were about to learn a terrible lesson. They thought they were attacking sheep. They were actually waking up wolves. And angry wolves are the most dangerous predators in the universe. The news of the destroyed patrol fleet reached Vector Prime within hours. Supreme Commander Vector sat in his command center, staring at the report in disbelief. 20 ships destroyed in seconds, he said. That's impossible. The humans have no fleet. We destroyed their colonies. They should be cowering on their home world. Sir, an officer said nervously, we're receiving long-range sensor data. There's a massive fleet approaching our territory. Thousands of ships. Thousands? Human ships. Yes, sir. They're heading directly for Vector Prime. 6 hours. Vector felt something he hadn't felt in centuries. Fear. How many ships exactly? Best estimate, 5,000 warships, sir. Silence fell in the command center. We have 3,000 ships, Vector said slowly. Spread across 40 systems. How many are currently at Vector Prime? 800, sir. The rest are scattered. Patrolling. Occupying the human colonies. Defending other systems. Recall them. All of them. Now. Sir, even at maximum speed, the closest reinforcements won't arrive for 3 days. The furthest will take 2 weeks. Vector understood the problem immediately. The humans had struck fast. Caught them unprepared. Now Vector Prime would face 5,000 enemy ships with only 800 defenders. What about orbital defenses? 200 defense platforms. 50 military stations. Multiple minefields. Vector calculated quickly. 1,000 defensive assets total against 5,000 attackers. Bad odds. Very bad. Prepare the planet for assault, Vector ordered. Activate all shields. Arm all weapons. Evacuate non-essential personnel. And send a message to the human fleet. What should it say, sir? Vector thought carefully. Tell them we're willing to negotiate. To discuss terms. To reach a peaceful solution. Will they agree? Probably not, Vector admitted. But it will buy us time. Every hour of negotiation is 1 hour closer to our reinforcements arriving. The message was sent to the approaching human fleet. It received a one-word reply, no. The human fleet arrived at Vector Prime exactly on schedule. 5,000 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. A wall of steel and weapons. Silent. Intimidating. Unstoppable. On the Retribution's bridge, Captain Maria Santos studied the tactical display. 800 Krell ships in defensive formation around the planet. 200 orbital platforms. Multiple stations. They're prepared. Should we attempt to negotiate? Her first officer asked. Maria thought of New Terra. Of 5 billion people burning. Of her friend James dying beside her. Of 3 months of nightmares. No, she said simply. We didn't come here to talk. We came here to deliver a message. And messages spoken with weapons are understood more clearly. She opened a channel to General Harrison on the command ship. General, Retribution is ready. Awaiting orders. Harrison's face appeared on screen. He looked tired. But his eyes burned with determination. All ships, this is Harrison. You know why we're here. 18 billion of our people died in this system's attack. Today we make sure the Krell never forget what that cost them. He paused. Rules of engagement. Destroy all military targets. Disable all defenses. And then we do what they did to us. We show them what it feels like to watch your world burn. Some officers looked uncomfortable. But most nodded grimly. Begin the attack, Harrison ordered. The battle for Vector Prime began with a missile barrage. 10,000 missiles launched from the human fleet. Not aimed at ships. Aimed at the orbital platforms. The platform's automated defenses tried to intercept. Shot down hundreds of missiles. But not enough. Explosions bloomed across Vector Prime's orbit. Defense platforms shattered. Military stations disintegrated. In 10 minutes, the Krell lost half their orbital defenses. They're attacking everything at once, a Krell officer shouted. We can't defend all positions. Focus on protecting the home fleet. Vector ordered. Let the platforms fall. Save the ships. But the human strategy was clear. Destroy the stationary defenses first. Then deal with the mobile fleet. The 800 Krell ships tried to advance, tried to engage the human fleet. But they were outnumbered 6-1. Every time they focused on one group of human ships, another group attacked from a different angle. They're everywhere, a Krell captain reported. We can't. His transmission cut off as his ship exploded. The Krell fleet was being torn apart. Vector watched in horror as his ships fell one by one. Humanity's tactics were brutal, efficient, overwhelming. Fall back to the planet, he ordered. Use the surface defenses for support. The surviving Krell ships retreated to low orbit. Maybe 300 left. The rest were debris. But the human fleet didn't pursue. Not yet. Instead they formed a blockade. A ring of 5,000 ships surrounding Vector Prime. Nothing could enter. Nothing could leave. The planet was trapped. A transmission came from the human fleet. General Harrison's face appeared on every screen across Vector Prime. People of Vector Prime. This is General Harrison of the human military. 3 months ago your Supreme Commander ordered an attack on our colonies. 23 worlds. 18.7 billion civilians. Dead. Every Krell on the planet listened. 12 billion people. Your commander thought humanity was weak. He thought we would accept this massacre. He thought we would surrender or hide. He was wrong. Harrison's expression was ice. We are here for one reason. To show you what you showed us. To make you feel what we felt. To teach you that actions have consequences. Vector felt his blood run cold. You have 1 hour, Harrison continued. 1 hour to evacuate as many people as you can from your cities. Especially children. We're not monsters. We'll give you the warning you never gave us. He leaned forward. But after 1 hour we will begin orbital bombardment. We will destroy your cities. Your infrastructure. Your military. Everything. Just like you did to us. This is insane. Vector shouted at the screen. You can't do this. We can negotiate. We can make reparations. Harrison's expression didn't change. You could have negotiated before you attacked. You could have made reparations by not killing 18 billion people. But you made your choice. Now live with it. The transmission ended. Panic erupted across Vector Prime. 12 billion people tried to evacuate cities in 1 hour. Chaos. Stampedes. Desperation. But many got out. Parents grabbed children and ran. Teachers evacuated schools. Hospitals moved patients. They had 1 hour to save what they could. 1 hour humanity didn't have when the Krell attacked. On the Retribution, Maria Santos watched the countdown timer. 60 minutes until bombardment begins, her weapons officer announced. Maria thought about mercy. About whether this was justice or revenge. Whether they were doing the right thing. Then she remembered James. Remembered 5 billion people on New Terra who got no warning. No chance to evacuate. No mercy. 24 hours after the attacks began, the bombardment stopped. Not because the Krell showed mercy, but because there was nothing left to destroy. The silence was worse than the explosions. On Earth, communication centers tried desperately to reach the colonies. Any colony. Any survivor. New Terra, this is Earth Command. Please respond. Static. Eden Prime, do you read? Anyone? Static. Nova Haven, respond if you can hear this. Static. Every channel. Every frequency. Nothing but silence and static. Then, slowly, scattered transmissions started coming through. Weak signals. Emergency beacons. Survivors. But so few survivors. Captain Maria Santos was still alive. Barely. She crawled through the ruins of New Terra's capital. Everything was destroyed. Buildings were rubble. Streets were craters. Bodies were everywhere. She found a working communication terminal in the wreckage of a government building. Her hands shook as she activated it. This is Captain Maria Santos of New Terra Security Force, she said, her voice hoarse from smoke and screaming. If anyone can hear this, New Terra is gone. The city is destroyed. I estimate 95% casualties. Maybe more. She paused, trying not to cry. There are survivors. Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. But out of 5 billion. Her voice broke. 5 billion people lived here yesterday. Now. She couldn't finish. From orbit, the Krell ships remained. Silent. Watching. Making sure nothing would rise from the ashes. Maria looked up at them through the smoke-filled sky. Her grief was transforming into something else. Something cold and hard. Rage. On Earth, in the Global Defense Council chamber, humanity was counting its dead. The numbers were beyond comprehension. New Terra, 4.9 billion dead. Estimated survivors, 100 million, most injured. Eden Prime, 2.8 billion dead. Survivors, 70 million. Nova Haven, 1.9 billion dead. Survivors, 30 million. The list continued. 23 colonies. 23 massacres. When the counting finished, the total was displayed on every screen. Total human casualties, 18.7 billion dead. The number hung in the air. Incomprehensible. Impossible to process. 18.7 billion people. Gone in one day. The president of Earth stared at the number. Her face showed no emotion. She had cried earlier. Now there were no tears left. Only ice-cold determination. 18 billion, she said quietly. That's more than double Earth's entire population. That's more people than have died in all of human history combined. In one day. A general spoke, his voice shaking. Madam President, preliminary reports suggest the aliens are landing ground forces on some colonies. They're not just destroying. They're occupying. Occupying what? Someone asked bitterly. There's nothing left. The planets themselves, an analyst explained. They want the worlds, not the people. We were just in the way. Silence filled the chamber. They didn't even try to communicate, another official said. No demands. No warnings. Just genocide. The president turned to her military commander. General Harrison, status of our defense forces? General Harrison stepped forward. He was 70 years old. A veteran of the last wars before humanity unified. He had spent the last 50 years in retirement teaching military history. Now he was back in uniform. Madam President, when we achieved global peace 200 years ago, we decommissioned most of our military. We kept only defensive forces. Police, security. Nothing capable of offensive operations. Nothing? The president asked. I said we decommissioned most of our military, Harrison smiled grimly. Not all of it. He pulled up classified files. Top secret. Hidden for 2 centuries. When humanity unified, our leaders were smart. They knew peace doesn't last forever. So they created Project Sword. A contingency plan. Just in case. Images appeared on screens. Massive warships. Weapons. Technology. For 200 years, we've been maintaining a hidden military fleet. Small crew. Minimal personnel. But functional. And we've been improving the technology. Upgrading. Preparing for a war we hoped would never come. People in the chamber stared at the screens in shock. How many ships? The president asked. 5,000 warships. Each one designed for one purpose. War. Not exploration. Not peacekeeping. War. Why didn't we know about this? Someone demanded. Because if people knew, Harrison replied, they'd have wanted them scrapped. Project Sword was maintained by a small group, passed down through generations, funded by classified budgets, waiting for the day they'd be needed. He looked at the casualty numbers on the screen. That day is today. News of the attack spread across Earth within hours. Every human alive saw the footage, saw the destruction, saw the death, and something changed in humanity. The peace that had lasted 200 years shattered like glass. They killed 18 billion of us, people said to each other. Without warning. Without reason. Just killed us. For what? Our planets? Our worlds? The anger was universal. Immediate. Total. In New York, millions gathered in the streets. Not to panic. Not to mourn. To demand action. War, they chanted. War. 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 In Beijing, the same scene. In Moscow. In Mumbai. In Lagos. In Sydney. Every city on Earth. The same demand. Revenge. Social media exploded with rage. They wanted our worlds? They can have them. After we take them back. 18 billion people. 18 billion murders. Someone will pay. We've been peaceful for 200 years. Time to remind the galaxy why we chose peace in the first place. Because we're terrifying in war. A video went viral. An old woman speaking to a camera. She had lost her entire family on Eden Prime. 3 children. 8 grandchildren. All gone. I'm 90 years old, she said, her voice steady despite tears. I survived the last wars before humanity united. I thought I'd never see war again. I was wrong. She looked directly into the camera. To whoever did this, you made a mistake. You thought killing billions of us would break us. But you don't understand humans. We're not strong because we avoid conflict. We're strong because when you push us too far, we push back. Hard. Her expression became steel. You killed my family. You killed 18 billion of my species. Now we're going to show you what angry humans can do. And I hope you're ready. Because we won't stop. We won't forgive. We won't forget. We're coming for you. And God help you when we arrive. The video got 1 billion views in 1 hour. Back in the Global Defense Council, the president made her decision. General Harrison, activate Project Sword. Mobilize every ship. Recruit every able person. We're going to war. Against who, Madam President? Someone asked. We don't even know who attacked us. Then we'll find out, the president said coldly. We'll track them. Hunt them. And when we find them, we'll teach them the most important lesson in the universe. What lesson? Never, ever, attack humans. She looked at the casualty numbers one more time. 18.7 billion. They wanted to see what humanity looks like when angry? They're about to find out. Orders were sent across Earth. Project Sword was activated. Secret bunkers opened. Hidden shipyards came online. Weapons were unsealed. Humanity had spent 200 years building a civilization of peace. Now they were going to spend that civilization's resources on war. The recruitment centers were overwhelmed. Millions of volunteers. Young and old. Scientists becoming soldiers. Teachers becoming warriors. Artists becoming fighters. All of them saying the same thing. Where do I sign up? A young man who lost his parents on Nova Haven stood in line. Why are you joining? The recruiter asked. Because 18 billion people died, the young man replied simply. And someone needs to make sure it means something. Someone needs to make them pay. The recruiter nodded and handed him the forms. Across Earth, the same scene repeated millions of times. Humanity was mobilizing. Not for conquest. Not for territory. For revenge. The Krell Dominion had made a fatal mistake. They thought killing billions of humans would terrify the survivors into submission. Instead, they created 8 billion people with nothing to lose and everything to avenge. They had awakened something that humanity had kept sleeping for 2 centuries. The warrior spirit. The will to fight. The rage of a species that would not forgive. Would not forget. Would not stop until justice was delivered. The Krell thought they were exterminating pests. They were actually declaring war on the most dangerous species in the galaxy. And humanity was just beginning to wake up. 3 months after the massacre, humanity was ready. Project Sword facilities across Earth hummed with activity. Shipyards that had been silent for 2 centuries now worked day and night. Factories produced weapons. Training centers turned civilians into soldiers. 8 billion people united with one purpose: war. General Harrison stood in the command center of humanity's largest military base, hidden beneath the Swiss Alps. Around him, holographic displays showed the progress. Fleet status? He asked. All 5,000 warships operational, sir, a young officer reported. Crews trained and ready. Weapons loaded. Ships fueled. Troop deployment? 20 million soldiers ready for ground operations. Another 50 million in training. We'll have 100 million combat-ready personnel within 6 months. Harrison nodded. Impressive numbers. But he had seen the Krell fleet. 3,000 ships had destroyed 23 colonies in hours. Humanity had 5,000 ships. Better odds. But were they better ships? What about the technology? Harrison asked. How do we compare to the Krell? A scientist stepped forward. Dr. Sarah Chin. She had spent the last 3 months analyzing every piece of data from the attacks. We got lucky, General, she said. The Krell underestimated us completely. They didn't shield their communications. Didn't encrypt their data. We captured everything. She pulled up technical specifications. Their ships are powerful but old. Ancient designs. They rely on brute force, not innovation. Their shields are strong but slow to regenerate. Their weapons are devastating but slow to recharge. And ours? Ours are newer, faster, more efficient. We spent 200 years developing technology for peaceful exploration, but that technology transfers well to war. Our ships are smaller but quicker. Our weapons are less powerful individually but fire faster. Harrison considered this. So in a straight fight? We'd probably lose, Chin admitted. They have experience. They've fought for thousands of years. We've been at peace for 2 centuries. They know war. We've forgotten it. But Harrison sensed there was more. But they're arrogant. Overconfident. They think we're weak. They won't expect us to fight back. And that gives us an advantage. Surprise. Exactly. They massacred our colonies and left. They think we're broken. Defeated. They think we'll hide on Earth and pray they don't come back. Harrison smiled coldly. They're about to learn how wrong they are. The President addressed Earth one final time before the fleet departed. Her image appeared on every screen worldwide. 8 billion people watched. My fellow humans, she began. 3 months ago we suffered the greatest tragedy in our history. 18.7 billion of our brothers and sisters were murdered. Entire worlds were destroyed. Families were erased. Future generations were stolen from us. She paused. We mourned. We grieved. We counted our dead. Now we're done mourning. Her voice became steel. Today our fleet departs for Krell space. We're not going to negotiate. We're not going to ask for explanations. We're going to show them what happens when you attack humanity. Around Earth, people listened in silence. Some will say this is revenge. They're right. Some will say this is justice. They're right too. Some will say this is war. They're absolutely right. We didn't want this war. We chose peace 200 years ago. We built a civilization based on cooperation, exploration, and hope. The Krell destroyed that civilization in one day. Her eyes blazed with controlled fury. So now we remind the galaxy of something they forgot. Humanity didn't choose peace because we were weak. We chose peace because we were tired of being strong. We chose peace because we knew what we were capable of in war. We chose peace because we didn't want to be monsters anymore. She leaned forward. The Krell made us monsters again. And they will regret it. Cheers erupted across Earth. Not celebrations. Battle cries. To the crews departing today, you carry the hopes of our species. You carry the memories of 18 billion dead. You carry the fury of 8 billion survivors. Go forth. Find them. Fight them. Win. The broadcast ended. The fleet began to move. Captain Maria Santos stood on the bridge of the warship Retribution. She had survived New Terra. Spent 3 months in recovery. Then immediately volunteered for the fleet. Now she commanded one of humanity's newest warships. 200 crew members. All survivors from the colonies. All people who had lost everything. All stations report ready, her first officer said. Maria looked at the view screen. Showed Earth. Beautiful. Blow. Home. Behind Earth, 4,999 other warships waited. The largest military fleet humanity had ever assembled. Fleet Command, this is Retribution, Maria said. Ready to depart. General Harrison's voice came through. Retribution acknowledged. Captain Santos, you have the honor of leading the vanguard. Take us to war. Maria felt a surge of emotion. Pride. Grief. Rage. All mixed together. Helm, she ordered. Set course for the last known position of the Krell fleet. Maximum speed. Course set, Captain. ETA to Krell territory, 2 weeks. All ships, Maria broadcasted to the fleet. Follow retribution. We're going hunting. 5,000 warships activated their engines. The armada began moving away from Earth. Slowly at first, then faster. Then disappearing into faster-than-light travel. Earth's sky emptied. The fleet was gone. 8 billion people remained behind, watching. Waiting. Hoping. The journey took 2 weeks. 2 weeks of preparation. Training. Planning. The fleet's intelligence division worked constantly, analyzing data from the attacks. We've identified the Krell home system, an analyst reported. It's called Vector Prime. Located in the Scorpius sector. Distance, 800 light-years from Earth. Defenses? Harrison asked. Unknown. But based on their ship designs, we estimate moderate to heavy orbital defenses. Probably military stations. Maybe mines. Definitely patrol fleets. Population. Best guess, 12 billion Krell on the home planet. Maybe another 15 billion spread across their territory. Total, approximately 27 billion. Someone whistled. That's more than they killed of us. Barely, someone else muttered. Harrison studied the tactical displays. The Krell Empire controlled 40 star systems. Dozens of worlds. They were old. Established. Powerful. Humanity controlled one system. Nothing else now. The colonies were gone. How do we fight an empire with 40 systems? A young officer asked nervously. We don't fight the empire, Harrison replied. We cut off the head. We strike their home world. Hard. Fast. Devastating. We show them what they showed us. You mean? I mean we do to them what they did to us. We make them hurt. We make them fear. We make them understand that attacking humanity has consequences. The officer looked uncomfortable. Sir, that's genocide. Harrison turned to face him. His eyes were cold. No, Lieutenant. Genocide is what they did to us. Unprovoked. Without warning. Without mercy. What we're doing is justice. Proportional response. They killed 18 billion of our civilians. We're going to show them that actions have consequences. But sir. The time for mercy ended 3 months ago, Harrison interrupted. The time for peace ended when they fired the first shot. Now we're at war. And in war you don't win by being nice. You win by being worse than the enemy. By being more ruthless. By being willing to do whatever it takes. He looked at the casualty numbers displayed on a screen. 18.7 billion. They started this. We're going to finish it. On day 13 of the journey, the fleet detected something. Multiple contacts ahead, sensors reported. Krell signatures. Looks like a patrol fleet. How many ships? Maria asked on the retribution. 20 vessels. Cruiser class. They haven't detected us yet. Harrison's voice came through from the command ship. All ships, this is Harrison. We found our first target. Battle stations. Weapons ready. This is our first test. Let's show them what humanity learned in 200 years of peace. What did we learn? Someone asked. That peace is precious, Harrison replied. And anyone who takes it from us will pay a terrible price. The fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel. 20 Krell ships suddenly found themselves facing 5,000 human warships. For a moment nothing happened. The Krell were frozen in shock. Then Maria Santos spoke, her voice broadcast to all Krell vessels. This is Captain Maria Santos of the human warship Retribution. 3 months ago your empire attacked our colonies. You killed 18 billion civilians. You destroyed 23 worlds. You thought you destroyed humanity. She smiled without humor. You were wrong. We're here. We're angry. And we're going to show you what happens when you wake sleeping giants. She cut the transmission and gave one simple order. Fire everything. 5,000 ships opened fire simultaneously. The battle lasted 30 seconds. When it was over, 20 Krell ships were debris. 0 human casualties. Humanity's revenge had begun. Prepare all weapons, she ordered. When the timer reaches 0, we fire. Captain, her first officer said quietly, are you sure about this? We're about to kill potentially billions of people. They killed 18 billion of ours, Maria replied. Without warning. Without mercy. Without even trying to talk first. At least we gave them an hour. That's more mercy than they gave us. But is that enough? To justify this? Maria turned to face him. I don't know. Maybe nothing justifies this. But I know one thing. If we don't do this, the Krell will think they can attack humanity without consequences. Other species will think we're weak. They'll attack too. She looked at the planet below. Beautiful. Blue-green. Full of life. Like New Terra used to be. We're not doing this because we want to, Maria said. We're doing this because we have to. The galaxy needs to learn a lesson. A hard lesson. Never, ever, attack humanity. The timer counted down. 50 minutes. 40 minutes. 30 minutes. On Vector Prime, millions evacuated cities. Ran to countryside. Took shelter in bunkers. But millions more couldn't evacuate in time. 12 billion people. 1 hour. Impossible to save everyone. 10 minutes remaining. Supreme Commander Vector sent one final plea to the human fleet. Please. Mercy. We surrender. We'll do anything. Just stop this. Harrison's reply was brief. Mercy is what you should have shown our colonies. Now it's too late. 5 minutes. The human fleet powered up weapons. 5,000 ships. Each one loaded with enough firepower to level cities. 1 minute. On Earth, 8 billion people watched live feeds. Some prayed. Some cried. Some cheered. All watched. 30 seconds. Maria Santos took a deep breath. All ships. On my mark. 3, 1, the mark. 5,000 ships opened fire. The bombardment of Vector Prime began. And the Krell finally understood what they had done. They had awakened humanity's fury. And fury burns everything it touches. The bombardment lasted 12 hours. Energy beams rained down from orbit. Missiles struck targets with precision. Buildings collapsed. Cities burned. Infrastructure crumbled. The Krell had given humanity 1 hour of warning before destroying their colonies. Humanity gave the Krell 1 hour to evacuate, then 12 hours of controlled destruction. It wasn't mercy. It was a message. Captain Maria Santos watched from the retribution as the planet below transformed. The beautiful blue-green world became scarred with smoke and fire. Status report, she said, her voice hollow. All military installations destroyed. Power grids offline. Communications disabled. Major cities, 40% structural damage. We estimate civilian casualties are. The officer paused, swallowing hard. 4 billion dead, Captain. Maybe more. 4 billion. The number hung in the air. Less than what the Krell killed. But still billions. Still lives ended. Still families destroyed. Maria felt sick. But she didn't order the attack to stop. Not yet. Continue bombardment of military targets only, she ordered. No more city strikes. We've made our point. On Vector Prime, Supreme Commander Vector crawled from the ruins of his command center. Half the building had collapsed. Most of his staff was dead. He stumbled outside and saw his world burning. The capital city was rubble. The sky was dark with smoke. In the distance, more explosions as human weapons found new targets. We thought they were weak, he whispered to no one. We thought they were prey. A surviving officer found him. Sir, we need to surrender. We need to make this stop. Surrender? Vector laughed bitterly. We already tried. They said no. They're not here to conquer us. They're here to punish us. Then what do we do? Vector looked at his burning world. At the millions dying. At the civilization collapsing around him. We pray they stop before there's nothing left. After 12 hours, General Harrison gave the order. Cease fire. All ships, cease fire. The bombardment stopped. The sudden silence was deafening. Harrison opened a transmission to Vector Prime. His face appeared on every surviving screen across the planet. Supreme Commander Vector. Can you hear me? From a damaged bunker, Vector responded. His image appeared. He looked broken. Defeated. I hear you, he said quietly. Good, Harrison replied. I want you to understand what just happened. 4 billion of your people died today. 4 billion out of 12 billion. That's 1/3 of your population. Vector said nothing. Just stared. We killed 18.7 billion of our people, Harrison continued. But we only had 23 billion in our colonies total. That's almost 80%. Do you understand the difference? You're monsters, Vector whispered. No, Harrison corrected coldly. We're what you made us. You attacked us without warning. Without mercy. Without reason. We gave you a warning. We gave you time to evacuate. We targeted military installations first. We showed more mercy than you ever did. 4 billion people. Is less than you killed. Harrison's voice rose. And unlike you, we gave them a chance. 1 hour is more than you gave us. So don't you dare call us monsters when you're looking at what you created. Silence. Harrison composed himself. We're not here to exterminate you. We're here to teach you a lesson. To make sure you never, ever attack humanity again. We surrender, Vector said. Completely. Unconditionally. Just stop. Please. We already stopped. But surrender isn't enough. We need guarantees. We need to make sure this never happens again. What do you want? Harrison outlined the terms. They were harsh. Brutal. Designed to cripple the Krell Empire permanently. First, your military will be reduced to defensive forces only. No more than 300 ships. No offensive weapons. We'll be monitoring. Second, you will pay reparations. Resources. Technology. Labor. Whatever we need to rebuild our colonies. For the next 100 years. Third, you will broadcast what happened here to every species in the galaxy. You will tell them why we attacked. You will tell them that attacking humanity has consequences. Fourth, any Krell who participated in the attack on our colonies will be turned over to us for trial. Including you. Vector closed his eyes. He was a dead man. They all were. And if we refuse, he asked weakly, then we continue the bombardment. Next time we won't stop at 4 billion. We'll reduce your entire planet to ash. Then we'll move to your other worlds. One by one. Until your species exists only in history books. Vector understood. Total surrender or total extinction. I accept. All terms. Just spare the rest of my people. We will, Harrison said. Because unlike you, we don't believe in genocide. We believe in justice. The Krell surrender was broadcast across the galaxy. Every species heard what happened. How the Krell attacked humanity's colonies. How humanity responded with overwhelming force. How an empire that stood for 10,000 years fell in one day. The message was clear: don't mess with humans. Within weeks, ambassadors from dozens of civilizations contacted Earth. Some offering alliance. Some offering trade. All offering respect. Fear-based respect, perhaps. But respect nonetheless. Earth had announced itself to the galaxy. Not as peaceful explorers. Not as naive newcomers. But as a power to be reckoned with. A sleeping giant that, when awakened, could burn empires. On Earth the response was mixed. Some celebrated. We won. We avenged our dead. Others mourned. But at what cost? 4 billion Krell dead. Many felt both. Pride and shame. Victory and guilt. The president addressed the planet one final time. People of Earth. Today we achieved justice for our fallen. The Krell Empire has surrendered. Our colonies will be rebuilt. Our dead will be remembered. She paused. But we must also remember what we did. 4 billion Krell died. Not all of them were responsible for the attack. Many were innocent. Civilians. Children. We did what we had to do. We showed the galaxy that humanity cannot be attacked without consequences. But we must never forget the cost. Never forget that war, even justified war, creates suffering on both sides. We have become what we swore we would never be again. Warriors. Killers. A species capable of terrible violence. This is not something to celebrate. This is something to regret. And to prevent from ever being necessary again. 8 billion people listened in silence. We will rebuild, the president continued. We will heal. We will remember. And we will make sure that the 18 billion who died did not die in vain. We will create a galaxy where such attacks never happen again. Not through weakness. Through strength. Through making it clear that humanity protects its own. Always. The broadcast ended. Earth began the long process of healing. Of rebuilding the colonies. Of learning to live with what they had done. On the Retribution, Maria Santos stood alone on the observation deck, looking at the stars. 4 billion dead. She kept thinking about that number. Yes, they killed 18 billion of us first. Yes, we gave them warning. Yes, we showed more mercy. But 4 billion were still dead. And she had given the order to fire. Captain, her first officer found her. We're preparing to return to Earth. Are you ready? Am I ready? Maria laughed bitterly. I'll never be ready. I'll never forget this. I'll never sleep without seeing those cities burning. We did what we had to do. I know. But knowing doesn't make it easier. She looked at her reflection in the window. 3 months ago, she was a security officer on a peaceful colony. Now she was a war hero. A killer of billions. I survived New Terra, she said quietly. Watched 5 billion people die. I swore I'd make them pay. Well, I did. 4 billion Krell dead. Mission accomplished. But revenge doesn't bring anyone back. James is still dead. Those 5 billion are still gone. And now 4 billion Krell join them. The universe just has more dead people. More grief. More pain. So what do? Maria turned to face him. We make sure it was worth it. We make sure this never happens again. We rebuild the colonies. We create a galaxy where species don't attack each other. Where wars like this aren't necessary. You think that's possible? I have to believe it's possible. Otherwise, what was all this death for? The fleet began its journey home. 5,000 ships. Victorious. But not celebrating. Because they understood something important. Winning a war doesn't make you a hero. It just makes you the survivor. And survivors carry scars forever. 1 year after the war ended, Earth had changed. Not physically, but in spirit. The planet that chose peace 200 years ago had remembered how to wage war. And the memory wouldn't fade easily. Captain Maria Santos stood at the memorial on New Terra. The colony had been rebuilt. Cities rose from ashes. 5 billion had died here, but life was returning. The memorial was simple. A wall of names. All 5 billion. Row after row. Page after page. You could walk for hours and not finish reading them. Maria found one name among billions, James Chin. Her friend who died in the first moments of the attack. We won, she told his name. We made them pay. 4 billion Krell dead. Their empire broken. They'll never threaten us again. She paused. But I don't feel like we won. I just feel tired. Around her, other survivors visited the memorial. Paying respects. Remembering. Healing slowly. New Terra was alive again. But it would never be the same. On Earth, General Harrison sat in his office reviewing reports. The Krell were keeping their promises. Reparations arrived monthly. Resources. Technology. Labor. Everything needed to rebuild the colonies. The Krell military had been reduced to 300 ships. Defensive only. Monitored constantly by human observers. The war criminals, including Supreme Commander Vector, had been tried. Found guilty. Executed. Justice served. By every measure, humanity had won completely. So why did Harrison feel empty? A knock on his door. The president entered. General. How are you? Fine, Madam President. Liar, she said gently, sitting down. You look like you haven't slept in weeks. Harrison smiled tiredly. Sleep is difficult. I keep seeing the bombardment. 4 billion people. I gave that order. We all gave that order, the president corrected. Every leader. Every citizen. We all agreed. This wasn't just your decision. Does that make it better? No. It just means we share the burden. They sat in silence for a moment. The galaxy fears us now, Harrison said. 40 different civilizations have sent ambassadors. Offering alliance, trade, friendship. All because they're terrified of what we did to the Krell. Is that bad? I don't know. We wanted respect. We got it. But it's respect born from fear, not admiration. They don't respect our culture or achievements. They respect our ability to destroy. The president nodded slowly. That's the price we paid. We showed the galaxy our strength. Now they'll always see us as warriors first, explorers second. Is that who we want to be? No, she admitted. But it's who we had to become. The Krell gave us no choice. Across the galaxy, the story of humanity spread. In alien schools, children learned about the Human-Krell War. About the species that lost 18 billion people and responded by breaking an empire. Remember, teachers told their students, humanity is dangerous when provoked. Never attack them. Never threaten them. They will forgive many things. But not genocide. The lesson was learned. Well learned. Some species saw opportunity. Humanity is powerful. Let's ally with them. Others saw danger. Humanity is ruthless. Let's avoid them completely. But all understood one thing. Humans were no longer the naive newcomers to galactic civilization. They were a major power. Respected. Feared. Dangerous. On Vector Prime, 8 billion survivors rebuilt their world. The scars remained. Ruined cities. Mass graves. Monuments to 4 billion dead. A young Krell child asked her grandmother, "Why did the humans attack us?" The grandmother, who had lost 3 children in the bombardment, answered carefully. Because we attacked them first. We killed 18 billion of their people. Without warning. Without mercy. We thought they were weak. We were wrong. But they killed 4 billion of us. Yes. And that will haunt them forever, just as our attack haunts us. War creates no winners, child. Only survivors with scars. Do you hate humans? The grandmother thought carefully. I hate what they did. But I understand why they did it. If someone killed 18 billion Krell, what would we have done? The child had no answer. Exactly, the grandmother said. We would have done the same. Maybe worse. So I can't hate them for being like us. I can only hope we both learn the lesson. What lesson? That some actions can never be undone. That some wounds never fully heal. That war is easy to start but impossible to win. In the rebuilt UN building on Earth, the president gave her final address after serving through the war. People of Earth, when I took office we were explorers, dreamers, builders. Then the Krell attacked and we became something else. Warriors, avengers, destroyers. She paused. We did what we had to do. We protected our species. We punished those who attacked us. We showed the galaxy that humanity cannot be threatened without consequences. But we paid a price for that strength. We lost our innocence. We can never again claim to be purely peaceful. We've shown the galaxy what we're capable of in war. That will define us for generations. 8 billion people listened. So now we face a choice. What do we become next? Do we remain warriors ready for the next conflict? Or do we try to return to being explorers and builders? She smiled slightly. I believe we must be both. We must remember how to fight so we never need to fight again. We must maintain our strength so no one dares attack us. But we must also remember why we became peaceful in the first place. Because war, even justified war, creates nothing but pain. Rebuild the colonies. Explore new worlds. Create art, science, culture. But never forget the lesson we learned. Never forget the 18 billion we lost. Never forget the 4 billion Krell who died because of choices made by leaders on both sides. Be strong. Be kind. Be human. All three. Always. The speech ended. Her term ended. A new president would lead Earth into the future. But the words remained. 20 years later. The colonies were fully rebuilt. New Terra had 7 billion people now. More than before the attack. Eden Prime. Nova Haven. All 23 colonies restored. Populated. Thriving. Earth's fleet remained. 5,000 warships. Ready. Watching. Making sure no one ever forgot the lesson. But Earth also sent out exploration ships. Science vessels. Diplomatic missions. Culture exchanges. Humanity was both warrior and explorer. Destroyer and builder. Fierce and kind. The galaxy learned to respect both sides. Some species remained afraid. Kept their distance. Watched humans nervously. Others embraced the alliance. Traded. Cooperated. Built friendships. And a very few, tried to test humanity again. They learned quickly. The lesson the Krell learned. The lesson carved into monuments across human space. We choose peace. But if you bring US war, we will finish it. Maria Santos, now Admiral Santos, stood on the bridge of a new flagship. The Unity 2, named after the ship that fell defending Earth during the Krell War. Admiral, a young officer said, we're receiving a distress call. A small species, the Turellians, are being attacked by slavers. They're requesting help. Maria remembered being that young officer once. Remembered when humanity was the one being attacked. The one needing help that never came. Set course for Turellian space, she ordered. Maximum speed. And send a message to the attackers. What should it say? Maria smiled grimly. Tell them that the Turellians are under human protection now. Tell them to leave immediately or face the consequences. Tell them we're humanity. And we remember what it's like to be victims. The ship jumped to faster-than-light speed. Humanity, scarred by war, was now using its strength to protect others. To prevent what happened to them from happening to anyone else. It wasn't redemption. The 4 billion Krell dead could never be brought back. The 18 billion humans lost could never be replaced. But it was purpose. Meaning. A reason for the strength they had gained through suffering. In schools across human space, children learned the history. Why did the Krell attack us? They asked. Because they thought we were weak, teachers answered. Why did we attack them back? Because we were angry. And hurt. And we wanted justice. Did we do the right thing? The teachers paused. This was the hardest question. We did what we thought we had to do, they finally said. We protected our species. We punished those who attacked us. But right is complicated. 4 billion Krell died. Was that justice? Or was it revenge? History will debate that forever. What should we learn from it? That strength without wisdom is dangerous. That revenge without mercy is hollow. That winning doesn't always feel like victory. And that the best battle is the one you never have to fight. The children nodded, understanding. They grew up knowing both sides of humanity, the strength and the compassion, the ability to destroy and the desire to create. They became the next generation, wiser than their parents, stronger for learning from their parents' mistakes, determined to be better. 50 years after the war, Captain Maria Santos, now retired, now old, visited the memorial on New Terra one last time. She found James's name again, traced it with aged fingers. "We survived," she told him. "Humanity survived. We're stronger now. Wiser, I hope. We protect others now instead of just ourselves. We learned from our pain." She paused. "But I still miss you. Still miss who we were before the war. Before we learned how to hate. Before we learned what we're capable of when we're pushed too far." A young girl approached. Maybe 10 years old. "Excuse me, are you Admiral Santos?" "I was. Now I'm just Maria. My teacher said you fought in the war. That you helped defeat the Krell." "I did. Were you scared?" Maria smiled sadly. "Terrified. Every day." "But you fought anyway?" "Yes. Because sometimes scared people do brave things. Not because they're not afraid, but because something matters more than fear." "What mattered more?" "Protecting others. Making sure what happened to us never happens again. Turning our pain into purpose." The girl thought about this, then hugged Maria suddenly. "Thank you for protecting us." Maria hugged her back, tears in her eyes. This is what it was all for, she thought. This child. This future. This hope. 18 billion died. 4 billion more died in response. But humanity survived. What? Grew. Became something more than victims. More than warriors. Became protectors. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. They thought we were weak. They learned we were warriors. But more importantly, we learned what we could become when pushed too far. And we chose to use that strength to protect others. We lost 18 billion. We killed 4 billion. There are no winners in war. Only survivors who must learn to live with what they've done and become better because of it. If you enjoyed this story, like for more powerful HFY stories, subscribe to never miss epic sci-fi tales. Comment. Was humanity's response justified? What would you have done? Share with friends who love stories about human strength and consequence.